Everyone knows Jehovah's Witnesses as the people that knock on your door. They go door to door. That is not fun. It is a very, um, taxing thing to do because, 1, people don't want you coming to their door. You're constantly being rejected. Most people were kind and, like, would nicely be like, "No, we're good. We're not interested." But if you're doing that every week in and out your entire life, it wears on you. It is not enjoyable. It was probably my least favorite thing about being a witness, and as I got older, I stopped doing it because I was just like I had kids, I was like that was my excuse. It's like, "I'm not taking them out. This is not happening."
Yeah, because I was gonna say, how many I mean, you probably knocked on 10,000 doors, right?
So many. Yeah, so many. And it was very unproductive. That was the other thing. Like, they claim, we're the Jehovah's Witnesses are the only people who are doing exactly what Jesus did, and that was the field ministry. They put such emphasis on that, which is funny looking back now. It's like, that's the dumbest thing ever. But they claim that's what makes them the truth is the fact that they are knocking on every door they possibly can. Um, as I started getting older, they shifted to I'm sure most people now see them at, like, little carts where they, like, stand at a park or stand by a bus station or something. They've shifted more to that than the actual, like, going into a neighborhood and knocking on every single door because it's not productive. Literally, people see you coming, lock their doors, don't answer. I mean, I was 35 when we left, and like you said, I probably counted like 10,000 doors or so. I was constantly out at a younger age every Saturday, and there was not a single person I talked to that did anything with the religion. So it's like that should have been like red flags to begin with. Like if this was the truth and Jesus actually speaking through us, then people should have been like flocking to it. But I never experienced that.
Yeah, for the ones that instead of knocking on doors, you said they transition to the whole model of they just set up a table and have people. Do you I feel like even that model is interesting because what I've noticed, especially up my street, there's always 2 Jehovah's Witnesses right then and there. They usually don't ask you anything first. They almost wait for you to say something first before they engage with you. Versus
Yeah.
the model of going door to door, you actually engage with them first. So I'm not even sure if there's any value of being the one to wait for a random person walk by to say something towards to you.
Well, and that's so they have special training. When they started doing this cart witnessing, I can't even remember how long it's been. It's probably been like 10 years that that's been like a thing that they've done. And they had special training meetings that you went to. And that was a big rule was like, you do not engage first because the way they were getting on these public property places was almost like saying like we're just there as a public service. We're not going to bother people. We're not going to be a nuisance. So we will wait to engage with anyone unless they engage with us. So it's kind of pointless because how many people are really going to come up to you and strike up a conversation? It's very few and far between. And I feel like it's become almost this thing where people will set up a cart and then they sit forever away from it in the shade if it's somewhere shadier away from it and just kind of hang out and they're counting their time and they're saying, "Well, I'm doing my service, so I'm okay for this month." But the fact that they're not actually engaging with people is just crazy to me. Like that's not again, they claim to be following Jesus, but like Jesus would never have done that. He would go out there and like seek these people out and like speak to them first. He wouldn't be sitting there waiting, being like, "Okay, ask me a question, and I'll talk to you then." So,
Yeah. Do you recall when you were in it, what were the repercussions if someone did not choose to go door to door and instead just didn't want to do it?
so you were viewed as they call it inactive. Being in the field ministry is basically a requirement. Um, it was like this year that they changed so you don't actually have to count hours, but before that, they had hours that they wanted you meeting. So it was usually on average, like they wanted you out 10 hours a month. So if you worked full time, that meant you were going out every weekend to try and fulfill that. If you got less than that, they viewed you as spiritually weak. If you didn't go out at all and you weren't reporting any time, you were inactive, which means like you're on the edge of the congregation. And a lot of times you would get soft shunned. People would view you like as kind of bad association. You would have elders trying to meet with you all the time to encourage you, and they call them shepherding calls. So it wasn't an option basically to not report time if you wanted to be left alone. So, like, a lot of people, myself included, once I had children, I would just fake report time. I would, like, say, "Yeah, I got 4 hours in. Here's my time slip." They had a little sheet you filled out with how many hours you went out. You would turn it into the congregation, and then they would say, "Okay, she's still technically active, so we can't, like, treat her worse than so and so who hasn't got any time." So, yeah, I would just fake it. I was like, "Yeah, I got 4 hours this month. Sure." I talked about God to my children a couple times.
So it was pretty easy to lie about. Like, do you think that a lot of members did lie about that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I think probably the vast majority do, especially because there are those that sign up for more, like, full-time. So there's something called pioneering, which is where you are committed to a set amount of hours every month for at least an entire year. It used to be 100 hours a month, and then it dropped to, like, 90 hours. I did it 1 year in my 20s, and it was, like, 70 hours a month that you had to report, or they would remove you from the pioneer list. It was technically, like, a privilege to be able to do that, and, I mean, the vast majority of people I worked with who were also pioneers would be like, "Ah, we'll round up our time this month. We weren't quite there, but we were close enough." So,
Yeah. What about the whole? Because I'm always, I'm always thinking like, do they even, when they make people volunteer to do that, do they even care about the weather?
no, not at all. Not at all. Um, rain or shine or snow, you're supposed to be out, and, they have other avenues of witnessing. So if it was like a really, because 'cause I'm in Colorado where it's like we can have pretty big snowstorms. And, on those really snowy days, they would, like, still say, "Let's meet, and we'll do" they have, something called, like, phone territory. So they basically compile lists of phone numbers off of, like, probably Google, I don't even know where they get it from, and you, like, sit at a table with everybody, and you go around, and someone makes a phone call, and it's like or they have letter writing that you can do when the weather's really bad. Um, they used to do I mean, there's no excuse pretty much. They're like, "Rain, shine, whatever the temperature is out, you should be going out in service."